All right, good night, everybody. Welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. Of course, I'm Rickford here in New York. Share the link, everybody. Get into your Guyanese groups and share the link. Text me, let me know where you're watching from. I can see, my friend, my friend. I'm seeing lots of people texting me already, inbox or as well as the chat line. Welcome to the program. For those of you watching from Guyana, good night. In New York here, good night. If you're watching from Europe, good morning. If you're watching from the West Coast, good evening. Wherever you're watching from, text me, let me know. I hope you're having a good night. Rude girl, I'm seeing you. All right, everybody, get into your Guyanese groups and share the link. You know how we do it here. Information is power. You can't get power unless you get information. And you can't get the information unless you share it or somebody shares it with you. So everybody get into your Guyanese groups and share the link. Rude girl, rude girl. All right, that's my friend right there. So share the link. Tonight we'll be talking about a lot. Three things I want to talk about. I'll be replaying the Attorney General's speech. So those of you who did not see it, it's an 8-minute speech. I'll replay it. I'll replay some of my comments. I'll talk about the powerful diaspora meeting that we had Sunday. It was a powerful moment in Brooklyn. Our Attorney General delivered for us. Our congressman spoke. Nigel Hines spoke on behalf of civil society. Jason Benjamin, the former president of the University of Guyana Student Society, he spoke on behalf of young people. Why are you guys asking me if Jason is still a youth? Yes, I'm still a youth. So Jason is still a youth. I'm sure I'm older than Jason. And of course, former Assistant Police Commissioner Paul Slow also spoke. So everybody get into your groups, share the link. I know that I decided to do this program late. You didn't get notifications. So every one of you get into all of your Guyanese groups, share the link all across social media platforms, Twitter, IG, Clubhouse, in your email, WhatsApp, wherever. Share the link. As you do that, I'll do the same, and I'll be back in 60 seconds. Like I told you, from later this month, we'll have a different structure for this program. We'll have commercials. People want me to advertise their business on the show, so we'll do that. And we restructure the program. My technical guys are ready. We're ready. We have all the videos lined up. Share the link, everybody. Let's get a couple of thousand people here. Let me see. Let me look at the control. We have 4 to 100 people watching. Let's get it up to 10,000 people live watching. Share the link, and I'll be back in 60 seconds. All right, good night again. This is Rickford here in New York. Welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. Share the link, everybody. You still, I see you still sharing. Let's keep sharing the link. I'm a little hoarse, of course, from Sunday. So as you know, everybody keep sharing the link. As we speak, as I speak, share the link. As you know, on Sunday, the 30th of October, we made history. Ready? Oh, okay. My guy's telling me he's okay. You're ready. All right. We made history in New York. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Each of you go and share this link to 20 other people. Share it straight across your social media platform. So we had a Guyanese diaspora meeting. As far as I'm concerned, this is the largest diaspora meeting we've had anytime ever. It was massive. We had over 2,000 people in that place. We actually ended early because the place was so crowded. We had lots of people there of prominence. We had our elected officials there. We had New York City police officers there. I am actually trying to get a preliminary, you're gonna get it for me? A video of Denisha McCurchin singing the Black National Anthem. I wish I could get that video. I know I don't, you'll get it? Okay, good. So we hope to get it by the end of by the end of the night. We hope to get it. That was a powerful, powerful moment. Powerful moment. As a matter of fact, let me take a quick break, and when I come back, we'll try to play that video. All right, so let me take a quick break. So I'm not sure if we're able to get it. I think, let me see if we got it. No, we did not. Okay, but we're gonna try to get it. We're gonna try to get it. Keep sharing the link, everybody. All right, so the Attorney General was there. She was on fire. As everybody knows, the Attorney General of New York State is a firebrand Attorney General. Firebrand Attorney General. She's the Attorney General that right now has Trump on the ropes. She's prosecuting Trump. She has him in court. He's running up and down to all the courts trying to block her investigation. She closed down his charity. Now she's about to close down his business. So she, and as she said yesterday, keep sharing the link, everybody, because I'm about to play her speech. As she said yesterday, she fears no one. Sorry, Sunday. She fears no one but God. She has lots of police guards and stuff like that because of her job. She is the chief law enforcement officer of the state of New York. After the Attorney General, Merrick Garland of the United States, she's the most powerful Attorney General for all the 52 states. She wields a lot of power. She can even investigate the government of Guyana. Trust me, she can investigate the government of Guyana. And let me tell you why. They're scared to hell. She has jurisdiction over the Sovereign Wealth Fund because the Sovereign Wealth Fund is banked in the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So if you commit any fraud with that fund, the Manhattan District Attorney could investigate you. The United States Justice Department has jurisdiction, and the state's Attorney General has jurisdiction. I rather suspect that some people in the PP government are very, very nervous right now. But, and then I'm going to play a little bit of my presentation because I introduced her. And then after the program ended, the PP government issued a panic statement, cursing me out. They say I have a sexual assault case in New York. It's like, these people's eyes are so past Black people. They're playing the KKK playbook. If they can't beat you, they can't beat me public relations wise. They can't beat me intellectually because I'm brighter than them. I have to sound like Judge Judy. A little arrogance is good sometimes. I have intellectual heft. I went to school. I went to two of the best schools in New York. And I mean, so they can't beat me politically. They're trying everything to smear me. They're scared of me. They're scared of my influence in Guyana. They're scared of my influence in the United States. So what they've decided to do is that they have to assassinate my character. They will have to paint me as a criminal. The mistake they're making is that people know me. Everybody knows that I'm a decent church-going Christian. Like, how are you going to make me into a criminal? After I've been on God's earth so long, never been arrested, never been convicted of a crime, never been accused of a crime in the United States. They accused me of all sorts of crimes in Guyana. So she issued a statement, and I asked my attorneys to sue her and the government, because she issued it on government letterhead. She issued this violent statement. She can't attack the Attorney General because the Attorney General is the right one for them. She can't attack the other elected officials. Well, they did attack them because they're Black. I'm going to come to that. But then she attacked me and Paul Slow. She said, I'm a criminal. Paul Slow's a criminal. I tried to extort $200 million from Indian business people. They always like to portray Black people as trying to want money from these Indian people that support them. Somehow, I'm not sure, but I think somebody who's high on something could have written a statement like that. Somebody who's high on something, somebody who's an addict, could have written a statement like that because it doesn't even sound too sound. But before, I'm going to deal with the statement last. Everybody keep sharing the link. Keep sharing the link, everybody. I want you guys to hear my presentation, and then we're going to go to the Attorney General. Must hear the Attorney General. So how am I doing this? All right, so they know that I'm I'm gonna mess this up, but they're forcing me, making me do it. All right, I don't think I'm gonna mess it up. Let me see what I'm doing here. Okay. I think that's it. No, that's not it. I think this is it. Yes, this is it. All right, here we go. This is my presentation, and then I introduce the Attorney General.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man who I don't like, I appreciate him, Rickford Burke.
He doesn't like me because I'm better looking than him.
Oh wow, I think I messed it up.
Good afternoon, Guyanese. No. Good afternoon, Guyanese. Exactly, you sound like Guyanese.
Okay, good.
I'm so happy that we have this meeting. Before we have our Attorney General here, and you know it's campaign time, and they're all over the place, and so I want to make sure I put the purpose for this meeting in context, and then our elected officials who are here will speak. But before I do that, I want to introduce some people who are here. I want to make sure that you guys really appreciate the fact that we have elected officials here, we have government officials here, we have law enforcement officials here on a Sunday evening. They could have been home with their families, but they've taken time out to be here because they understand the importance of this meeting to the Guyanese nation and the Guyanese community, which is the fourth largest immigrant population in New York. We are over 600,000 strong. And for those of you who don't know history, we have, 780,000 people living in Guyana, the largest CARICOM country, the only CARICOM country that is not in the Caribbean, but it's in South America. But we have 1.5 million Guyanese living outside of Guyana. So the immigrant population is important to this city and this state, and the Guyanese community is important. Let me first of all introduce Rita Joseph. She's from Haiti, and she's a member of the New York City Council. Rita, I know you were introduced, but we're going to bring your partner to speak. You want to say? Go ahead, come.
He just loves putting me on the spot. He does that all the time, and I'm not that tall.
Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Guyana. I have a connection to Guyana. My doctor's from Guyana.
We have bright people.
Bright people. And there's a school, as she told you, I'm the chair of education in the New York City Council. There's a school that I adopted in Guyana that I send school supplies to every year. So it's not far. Yes, I'm Haitian American, so one Caribbean, one love. But I'm here to support, and I'm also here to listen and learn what's happening. I know you brought me on board during the time when the Haitians were really being mistreated in Guyana. So we came and stood with you in solidarity. So tonight I'm here standing with you in solidarity again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, when the government was sending back Haitians, we had the march in Flatbush. Rita was there, right there with us. And we know the government is also sending back Nigerians and Africans. But they're accepting Venezuelans, they're accepting Cubans, and now they're accepting Afghans. But this is not a political event, so I'm going to wait for when the campaign starts, because I'm going to be campaigning from here. Y'all know I can't go to Guyana, right? All right, so we call this meeting today because there is so much anger in the Guyanese community. Throughout this country, we just 2020, a new government was installed. When I tell people the story of Guyana, they look at me in amazement. I cannot believe that we are here again. After we fought so much for democracy. So in 2020, the Trump administration executed regime change in Guyana. Literally booted out the president and installed an ethnocratic regime, an apartheid regime, basically. And if you Guyanese, you know the struggle, not a struggle, but the history with me and that political party. For those of you who don't know me, I left Guyana as a teenager. And when I left Guyana as a teenager, I was the special assistant to the president of Guyana, Desmond Hoyt. But the government now says that I'm a criminal. But we in the diaspora have begun to speak out because there's no democracy in Guyana anymore. Every single black talk show host has been arrested. Everyone has been arrested. Every single senior black official of the Elections Commission has been arrested. Several former black government ministers of the former government has been arrested. Every single black person that speaks out in Guyana is arrested. And now, because I am speaking out from the diaspora, I am wanted. The government has put out 2 wanted bulletins for me. And I live in America. Why? They say when I criticize the government under a special provision of the cybercrime law, which says you cannot embarrass a public official or you cannot speak ill of anybody or else that's a crime. So when we speak out from the diaspora, they say we are breaching the cybercrime law and they put out wanted bulletins for us. I don't know where they got the extraterritorial jurisdiction to police us in the diaspora. But the problem is they're sitting on billions and billions of dollars. So they're paying lobbyists. Mercury, which, you know, put the Trump administration in power, Mercury is their advisor. And so they are lobbying heavily the Biden administration to not take action when we file complaints. And that's why the people from the Justice Department are here to observe. They don't want to speak. They're not going to speak. They're going to observe. Because we have been filing complaints upon complaints with the Justice Department. Now, it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. As you guys know, a few weeks ago, somebody complained to us at CGID. I'm the president of CGID. It's a civil rights advocacy organization. And we've had to intervene for so many people in Guyana. So many people whose rights are violated. Get lawyers to people. And they're upset about that because our congressmen are speaking out. And they're blaming me for that. So, a few weeks ago, some people complained to us that they're being robbed by a car dealership. And the Attorney General would find this very funny because I know she goes after predators. The dealership BM Sot in Guyana, if you go to them to buy a car, the car is the collateral, but you have to get a guarantor. And the guarantor also has to put up a collateral. And if you miss a payment, they repossess the car that you purchased. But they also repossess the car of the guarantor. I have never heard about that anywhere in the world. So I spoke out against it. And when I spoke out against it, a young man who's an American citizen from Atlanta contacted me and said, well, the same company owes me $170 million because he sold them fuel, and they refused to pay. He also sent us and our lawyers documentation that they changed his invoice. So if he was selling the diesel fuel at 10 cents a liter, they changed it to 3 cents. Why do you think they changed it? They want to under-invoice the fuel to submit it to the tax authority, the Guyana Revenue Authority. That's fraud. That's tax fraud. It's tax evasion. But because they submitted that, they are demanding that he takes that money. So they were shorting him $90 million. So when we spoke out from here, what do you think the government did? The government said we're trying to extort the people for $90 million and put out a wanted bulletin for all of us. But I don't mind that. I can fight them. I have the resources to fight them back. But these poor people that have been speaking out on social media that they're terrorizing, I'm not sure if that young man is here, but you may hear from him later. They have everybody on social media, they're monitoring us. They have intelligence officers following me in New York. From the Guyana Defense Force, from the Guyana Police Force, and from the intelligence agency in New York, committing espionage. They're attempted to pay. As you read in the news, and this is something I'll discuss with the Attorney General, they attempted to pay 2 journalists to hack into the website of GNN, which that's not only cybercrime, that's espionage. It's more serious than that, which is a New York company. A group of people got together and formed GNN because in Guyana, journalists are scared to print the news. Because if you criticize the government, you get arrested. You notice they just sent police officers to interview Stabroek News reporters. Stabroek News is the largest newspaper in Guyana. So they decided, Nigel is a contributor to GNN. I'm a contributor to GNN. So they decided to pay 2 people to try to hack into GNN. Do you think they could pay people to hack into the Washington Post? Or the New York Times? But that's what they did. And when the men couldn't do the job, you know what happened to them? They arrested them and said they violate the Cybercrime Act. But the people, what is most important to this gathering? The people here, most of you from New York, and you have been speaking out, they're monitoring you, they're hacking into your emails, they're hacking into your Facebook. Every post I make, they write Facebook and ask Facebook to take it down. Some of them they take down, some of them they don't. Now they have all of us on watch lists. You cannot go to Guyana. You cannot go to your family. He's on a watch list. He's on a watch list, seriously. And a young man who's here went to Guyana recently, and he was detained at the airport for 49 minutes and questioned about his Facebook posts. A woman who is a United States citizen went home to bury her mother in Essequibo and was arrested for cybercrime violation because she has been on Facebook speaking out. Now, they're publishing our home addresses. They're publishing our telephone numbers. Dr. Leward is a principal of a public school. I remember Victor Singh, who's an associate of the Attorney General of Guyana. I'll come to him. Today, when I published the final promotion for this show, and a friend of mine was shot and killed the day before. And so I made a tribute to him on my page. And that person linked my tribute to this young man to the flyer for this and said, tomorrow you may be next. Seriously, the police had to deal with it. So that's what we're going through. I am not scared. But people in the community are angry. Last week, a young man got up some of his friends and they were prepared to go in a car to Queens. And we had to get the police and elders in the community to calm them down because they threatened his mother on Facebook. Somebody is going to get hurt. And not everybody is going to be law-abiding like us. Not everybody is going to be non-violent like us. And that's why we have law enforcement officers here to tell us how to deal with these. It's new for us. It's called transnational repression. It's done by countries like Russia and Iran and North Korea, and now you have Guyana. And let me come to the Attorney General of Guyana, and then I'll shut up. We have a very strange, I'm saying when we talk elected officials, people are surprised. When we have the president of Guyana currently was charged with a $270 million fraud. And he was installed as president. And the court ordered him to stand trial. And the DPP dropped all the charges. The Attorney General was before the court. He went all the way to the Caribbean Court of Justice to get those charges dismissed. And every court told him he must stand trial. He was installed as Attorney General. The prosecutor dropped the charges. And so many others from the PPP. Recently, we had a young police officer who was guarding the home of the former Chief Justice. And his son spat in her face. I'm so angry about that. And the police force refused to charge him. When she filed private criminal charges against him, the DPP dismissed the charges. So she didn't get her day in court. So we have been speaking out against this with the Attorney General. Because as you know, before the last campaign, a young man by the name of, I'm so hurt about this, a young man by the name of Courtney Comewing, who's a former Guyana Defense Force officer, was campaigning in Providence, which is a village in Guyana. Diamond. He was there with his bullhorn urging people to come out and vote, which is what all of us do here for elections. And what happened to him? He was shot and killed in plain view of the public. And the current Attorney General's vehicle was seen driving away from the scene. The police informed us and the former Attorney General's office that he and his security were investigated for that murder. The file disappeared. So because we in CGID called for an investigation, we became the targets. And as you know, he went on television in Guyana and made all kinds of claims about me. He said I'm a convicted criminal in America. Never been arrested or charged in my life. So he came here for a protest. Sorry, he came here to give a speech. And we organized a protest against him in Queens. The protest scared the hell out of him. He didn't want to come. The government had to bring security, 12 armed guards to bring him in there. We were just outside yelling with bullhorns. And the next day, and I'm going to disclose it now, a police officer, it's not Rickford Burke, a police officer overheard him telling a group of people that I must be killed because I will make them lose the government. Allegedly, that's what he said. So we reported the matter to the FBI, we reported the matter to NYPD, they started an investigation. Somehow, the police report became public. And when the police report became public, the Attorney General, and he said this in a statement, directed the Guyana Police Commissioner to call the 71st precinct and tell them the report was fake. That's obstructing government administration. And then the Guyana Police Force issued a statement that said the NYPD wrote them and said that the matter was dismissed because it was frivolous. The NYPD doesn't have the power to dismiss any complaint. But that's what, so they're reaching into the United States to interfere with the justice system here. So this is the reason why we call this meeting and why we wanted our elected officials here, because it cannot be tolerated anymore. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries has been speaking out. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke has been speaking out. And there's a staff member at the Guyana Consulate. Everybody knows about that. O.C. Rogers. He has launched, he is a staff member at the Guyana Consulate. He has launched a nasty attack on the congressman. So we have written to the government and said he must be removed. It's a violation of the Vienna Convention. You cannot be in a country working in a diplomatic mission under the auspices of the United States and attack a member of the United States Congress. Because all Congressman Jeffrey said is the United States government will not tolerate racism in Guyana. And they have been attacking him. The president, the vice. We have some videos, but in the interest of time, we're not going to show it now. So I don't want you to see this forum as a political forum. We're going to have those. This is a forum for you to talk to your elected officials, for you to talk to law enforcement officials, for them to tell you how to conduct yourselves in this new situation that we find ourselves in, where we are the target of transnational repression. I know some of you are scared. Some people are afraid to go home. But that's why we don't want you to be scared. We have our elected officials here. Most of these issues are federal issues that the Biden administration has to address. But let me conclude by saying this. We have our leaders behind us. And the only reason we have our leaders behind us is because we elected them. We elected them. And if you don't go out and vote for Tish James and Governor Hocho and Yvette Clarke and Hakeem Jeffries, there will be nobody there to protect you. And some of you in the Guyanese community don't vote. Some of you in the Guyanese community don't vote. We have to vote for judges. We have to vote for the governor. We have to vote for Congress people. We have to vote for every single elected official because they are the ones that protect our interests. You guys want a Republican as governor? You want a Republican as Attorney General? I don't mean for this program to be political, I'm sorry. But we have to put people in office that protect us. So that when we have issues like this, where we've been targeted with transnational repression crimes, they can apply the law to make sure that people, whether in or out of this country, don't violate the law. And that's why we have people from the Justice Department here. This is not a Justice Department that we had over the last 5 years. This is a Biden Justice Department. So thank you guys for coming out. We have a lot more to say during the questions. Thank you guys for coming out. We have to remain engaged. I'm happy. And by the way, for the people looking in Guyana, I heard 20,000 people are watching us now. For the people in Guyana, we got your back. We got your back. We will fight for democracy for you. Whether or not we can come to Guyana because they want to lock us up. But I don't want to cause an international incident, so I won't go to Guyana. But we have to protect our relatives back home. And Guyana is now one of the largest oil producing countries of the world. And every person in Guyana is entitled to benefit from the oil wealth, not only the government supporters. And only the United States government has the leverage to make sure we have equitable governance in Guyana. And so we have to make sure we tell our relatives all across this country, whether it's in Florida, whether it's in Pennsylvania, whether it's in Atlanta, Georgia, New Jersey, Virginia, you have to elect elected officials who would represent our interests and ensure we have a foreign policy that is favorable to us, all of us as Guyanese. Because we wouldn't have this forum if we had elected officials who didn't care about this community. And that's why I want to thank the Attorney General for being here. I want to thank Rita Joseph for being here. Sorry, by the way, the mayor's office is here as well. Commissioner Worrell, we'll hear from her. And we just have a Guyanese elected official that just arrived, Alicia Hyman from Queens. Thank you very much for coming. And lots more of them will pass by. But like I said to you, we can only have these forums if we vote and elect our elected officials. So I want you to stand to your feet and welcome Trump's nightmare, the Attorney General of the state of New York, Tish James, the Honorable Tish James.
Oh, you can do better than that. Hello, Guyana. Let them hear you back in Guyana. Hello, Guyana. Let them know you will not tolerate racism. Hello, Guyana. Let them know you won't tolerate corruption. Hello, Guyana. Let them know that you believe in democracy. Hello, Guyana. Let them know that you believe in fair elections. Come on, Guyana. Let them hear you roar. I'll sit down. To my colleagues in government, my sisters in government, Councilmember Joseph, and of course, my Guyanese sister, Assemblywoman Alicia Hyman, and to my brother from another mother, Rickford Burke, who I just want you to know how special he is. He calls all of us. He has all of the elected officials on a group email, a group text. And if you don't respond, he shouts you out and he'll, you know, how come you didn't respond, Hakeem? How come you didn't respond, Tish? Where are you, Yvette? Where are you, Alicia? And this is what he does. And he keeps texting you until you respond. It's sort of like harassment, but it's okay. Because he and I go way back. I've known him for over 15, 20 years, and I consider him my brother from another mother. So give it up for Rickford Burke, who's truly a leader in this community, and I respect him. And the dais guests, and to all of you, listen, like Councilmember Joseph, I came here to listen, but what I heard is very disturbing, extremely disturbing. And so my comments, I stand and reaffirm the comments of my brother, Congressmember Jeffries. The United States will not tolerate racism in Guyana or any other country. And I also want the officials to know that if any harm comes to Rickford Burke, let me say that again. If any harm comes to Rickford Burke or anyone on this dais or anyone in this room, there'll have to be answers. We will immediately demand answers, and I can tell you that someone will be held accountable for those actions. And for those who are in Guyana and for those officials who don't know me, my name is Letitia James, and whether you're in the White House or the State House means nothing to me. I fear no one other than my God. And courage is a requirement of this position. Every elected official requires courage and requires having a steel in your backbone. And so I believe in democratic institutions, and I believe that Guyana needs strong democratic institutions, and I will defend that. And I will abhor any discrimination or racism of any people, particularly people from the African diaspora. We have also in this country, we have attempted to root out corruption. We've attempted to address issues of poverty, and we're not perfect in this country. We still know that there are individuals who unfortunately live in poverty, and we call them out. You see, we believe in the First Amendment in our Constitution, the right to free speech, the right to journalism. Journalists should have free and fair, the ability to report whatever they seek without any interruption. We believe that discrimination should be called out. We believe that racism should be called out. We try to call out class struggles as well. And so all that I have to say is the following, is that I, again, will, along with my Democratic attorney generals across the country, will be calling upon DOJ, Department of Justice, as well as the Biden administration, to look into the allegations that have been put forth this evening. We are obviously concerned about any destabilizing force on Guyana, and clearly all of the allegations that have been made this evening suggest that there are problems and that they need to be looked at, they need to be examined, and that we cannot ignore it. We can't put blinders on when people are struggling. And that people of African ancestry should not be treated like second and third class citizens. Not in this country or any other country. And so I just truly want to thank all of you for allowing me to say a few words, but Rickford said it best. We've got the power in our hands. The power to vote in Guyana and the power to vote here. And as you know, in just 8 days, we'll have an election here, and we cannot go backwards. We will not go backwards. And there are forces out there that are trying to deceive you. And what we've got to do together is to make sure that our streets are safe, remove the guns off the streets of New York and Brooklyn and all throughout the state of New York, address the issue of inflation, come together, again, file actions against bad landlords who unfortunately are taking advantage of tenants. Make sure that we protect marginalized and vulnerable populations, and that anyone who is the victim of a business and or a corporation who thinks that they can take advantage of individuals simply because of their class or their race. As the Attorney General, that is my responsibility and that is my duty. And I join with you today, again, expressing my concerns with regards to all that I have heard this evening. And I will join with you and stand with you and march with you and fight for you to stand and defend your rights. I use the law both as a sword and as a shield. And I will use the powers of my office to stand up and fight on behalf of the Guyana people. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
All right, so that was the Attorney General of the state of New York, Letitia James. So after that, after the forum, Gail Teixeira, as I said, issued this nasty statement, cursing out Black people, said the forum was racist. Listen, these people in the PPP think that they are so empowered and powerful that they can determine which international institutions and what international players and what members of Congress who Guyanese must listen to. They think they have a monopoly on speech. And only white people that they worship and they lobby to make statements must be listened to. So they try to disparage all the Black elected officials. And then our finale comes to this country and row and curse out that I asked to meet with a Black leader and he didn't meet with me. Like, who the hell are you? This is the second forum we've had that the PPP is labeled racist. The only reason they labeled the forum racist is because Black people who demand justice and equality organized it and attended it. That's the only reason they said the forum is racist. They are so disrespectful of Black elected officials in this country because they think they are passive, like the Black people in Guyana, who sit down and accept their abuse. Nothing to us up. I don't think you want to cross the Black elected officials in America, because you got to be bold and brave and courageous and have lots of support to get elected in America. So Gail Teixeira, by the way, she's a washed up PPP relic from the PPP's racist past. She's a dinosaur. And I don't know if she was under the influence of something when she wrote this statement. Because this statement could have easily been written by either an addict or a KKK grand wizard. She starts off the statement by attacking Black people. She said, I'm a criminal. I've never been arrested yet. Never been convicted of a crime. Never been accused of a crime in this country. But they have to adopt this strategy, this racist Jim Crow KKK strategy of demonizing all the Black leaders because they want to dominate. They want to impose East Indian supremacy on Guyana. Oh, we are East Indian and I'm from the PPP, and not even East Indian, because they don't even respect East Indians that are not from the PPP. You got to be East Indian and in the PPP. We're elitists, we're superior. You're not superior to me. Not even in intellect. So she attacked the Black people who are demanding equality. We're saying we want equitable governance. We want equality. We want equal opportunity. We want equal justice on the law. She's attacking that. What government in the world is against equality? The PPP. What government in the world is against equal justice for everybody, all the races? The PPP. You would think that these people would come to the realization that the world is beginning to see that they're the most racist government in the Western Hemisphere, and stand out an olive branch and say, here, listen, we hear your concerns. That's not the intent of our government. Let us sit down and have a dialogue. No, you're Black people, you're not criminals. The country belongs to us. Our PPP grandfather died and we inherited this country and we must dominate it. Does the country become a failed state and then we started building over? Because nobody, the PPP grandfather dead and left Guyana for them. Black people build Guyana. And when we say these things, they say we're racist. They have this tactic, this strategy, right? When you condemn their racism, when you expose their racism, when you point out their racism, they call you a racist. Oh, our racism? No, that's our inalienable right. We have a damn right to be racist, and we have a right to trample on Black people. And you can't say anything about that. We're going to send the police to gun you down and arrest you. You can't talk about us. This is Russia. Can't talk about us. This is Russia. They better keep that crap for Guyana. This is America. This is America, Jack. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Teixeira. This is America. And you're a relic of the racist past of the PPP. So you don't understand the new world order up here. We don't care what you think. We have a right to speak. This is America. And you never shut us up. And that's why we have elected officials who would then represent us. And let me say this loud and clear to the PP government. We in CGID are determined. We are determined, hell or high water, just like you are determined to make black people slaves and criminals. We are determined to change the relationship between the United States government and the PPP government. The PPP government is a racist, undemocratic, autocratic, ethnocratic, apartheid government. And it is time the United States recognize them for that and isolate them. And to the dictators, criminals in the Guyana police force, we are determined also to make sure that the United States stop funding any project in the Guyana police force and sanction those people in the force who committed crimes. The other thing we're determined to do, we want the Judiciary Committee of the United States Congress. And we have a meeting that the congressman is arranging for us to meet with the members of the Congressional Black Caucus. We're going to have that meeting, and we're going to have a meeting at the State Department, and we're going to have a meeting in the White House. And we have already met with the Justice Department. We are determined to find out the lies that the government of Guyana is passing on to the Justice Department so that U.S. law enforcement can target us. They want to procure the U.S. government to carry out their dirty work and to commit transnational crimes on their behalf. So they have been lying to the FBI, telling the FBI, this is not a secret. The Attorney General was so bold. He was so proud of himself to issue a statement admitting he's committed a crime under US law. He said that they asked the FBI to investigate Guyanese here for speaking out on social media because we are inciting terrorism. He knows that he thinks the word terrorist is going to excite the FBI. So yes, them black people in America talking that they're terrorists because they're criticizing us about our racism. He didn't ask the FBI for help to solve the Henry murder, the Bacchus murder, the Quindon Bacchus murder, the Boston murder, the Sergeant Dion Bacchus allegations. No. The top priority of this government is to ask the FBI to investigate Americans speaking out, exercising their freedom of speech on social media. That's the top priority for Guyana. Them black people in America there, they're criticizing me. Go and jail them, they're terrorists. That's the priority of their government. So Gail Teixeira continue along the line. She said, Paul Slow's a terrorist. Could you imagine that woman? They have a visceral hatred for black people. And I don't know for the life of me what them 3 or 4 black ministers doing there in that government. Because they don't like them either. They don't like them either. Visceral hatred for black people. They don't want the black people to prosper in Guyana. Look at how they're treating the public servants. No pay, no increase in pay. Sugar workers, you get $250,000. A second severance. Public servant, you go home, you're black. And when we talk, they say we divided the country. It is the racist policies of the PPP that's dividing the country. So Paul Slow, a man with a distinguished law enforcement record, she says he's a criminal because he spoke out about their assault on the rule of law. Imagine an attorney from Nigel Hughes' office went to the police to see one of her clients and advised the client of his constitutional right to remain silent, the PPP government arrested her. The police force, which is a part of the government, arrested her. She's a black woman, black young lady. You think they would arrest an Indian lawyer? No. And somebody will say, well, Rickford, what race has to? Of course race has to do with it. They won't dare arrest a PPP female lawyer or an East Indian lawyer, female lawyer. They will not do it. They don't have respect for black people. I call it as I see it. That's it. They don't have respect for black people. It's an assault on the bar. It's an assault on the rule of law. But they don't care because they think they have the support of the ABC countries and they have oil money that they could use to lobby the international community and white members of Congress to put out statements supporting them. But let me say this. Then she said that I'm a criminal. She said I have tried to extort $200 million from a dealership, an East Indian businessman. Well, here now. At first, they accused me and several other people because we demanded that they respect their customers and black people who they're exploiting and defrauding. They said we tried to extort $90 million from them. That's what the Attorney General's put out in a statement. Then later in that same statement by the Attorney General, he said it was 1 million. And then the court documents say 150,000 somebody wanted from them. Now she says 200 million. These people are fantastic. They can't even lie. That's why I was saying they don't even have the intellect to engage us. They don't have the sophistication of intellect. She must have some sort of cognitive impairment. Or probably was under the influence of something. I don't know. I don't know. But what caught my eye, she started out by saying, we are all criminals. All these black people that went there, we are criminals. Sorry, all the black people that spoke, we are criminals. The local Guyanese. It is an attack on all African Guyanese. What she put there in that statement is an assault, a violent assault on black people in Guyana. It is a KKK tactic. It is a Jim Crow tactic. Black people, we're the boogeymen. We're the boogeymen. That criminal. Everybody's a criminal. I see today they put out a bulletin with all the black leaders in Guyana. The PPP put it out. And they say all these black, Amanza Walton, Rickford Burke, Paul Slow, we're all criminals. And they love to talk about who is inciting racial hostility. They don't know that to black people, criminalizing all the black leaders in the community and the diaspora is inciting racial hostility. In other countries, that would have led to civil conflict. You want to try that? They want to go to Jamaica and try that, or some part in Africa? But like I said earlier, they like to call black people criminals. Let's see who are the criminals. Let us, for instance, go to the PPP cabinet. Finally, he was prosecuted for over $200 million fraud. He was never exonerated. The DPP dropped the charges. The Attorney General, Anil Nanlal, he was prosecuted in criminal court for alleged theft of government assets. He was never exonerated. He went to every court in Guyana, petitioning them to drop the charges. Every court ordered him to go and stand trial because the evidence, there was a prima facie evidence to support the charges. And Ashley Singh was the supposed Minister of Finance, sometimes not so assistant to the president, minister in the office of something. He too was prosecuted for $400 or something million fraud. Never exonerated. DPP dropped the charges. If you're a rich PNC East Indian, you don't get prosecuted. And from the PPP. Sorry, if you're a rich PPP East Indian, you don't get prosecuted. You're above the law. Former Minister of Public Service, PPP Minister, prosecuted for $600 million fraud. Kwame Mackay is a convicted criminal and he sits in the cabinet. And Gail Teixeira wants to tell the black people in Guyana and America, Guyanese, that those of us who are standing up and speaking out for justice are criminals. That is past black people. And you must not sit and take it. Speak out against it. Condemn her. Half the cabinet are certified, bona fide criminals. Prosecuted. But they think when they put out these statements attacking our character, it will scare American elected officials. Tish James knows me. She knows me for over 20 years. She said it. Hakim Jessery knows me. Eva Clark knows me. All the elected officials here, they know me. They know who I am. They know that I'm a decent, law-abiding citizen and a Christian. Nobody in the PUP has the credibility to tell any of these elected officials in America about anybody in the diaspora. We don't behave like Charandas. We're decent, civilized people. We're not callous. And then here, she said in the letter, those elected officials that came to the forum, they're local Brooklyn elected officials looking for votes. Like I said, I think this woman, she's such a relic of the past. She's a dinosaur. She's been around since Noah was a little boy. So she's not too, she has some sort of cognitive impairment. She's uniquely ignorant because the Attorney General is the Attorney General of the state of New York, not Brooklyn. Brooklyn is one of 62 counties. Some of the counties in New York bigger than Guyana. Or a group of some of the counties together, they're bigger than Guyana. New York State has 20 million people. Over 515 law enforcement jurisdictions. She is the chief law enforcement officer of the state of New York. She is the custodian of the Constitution of the state. She ensures that the laws of the state are upheld and complied with, adhered to. If it was a white man, she would have said that. She would have said, "Oh dear," she would have written a different letter. "Oh dear, Your Honor, Honorable Congress member, Billy Jones," or whatever. We would like to provide information about our government. No, but this is a black woman, and they don't have no respect for black people in the PPP. So she thinks she could bring her racist bullshit to America and disrespect the Attorney General of New York. She's just a local Brooklyn lady looking for votes. Keep that crap for Freedom House, Gail. And I would put my reputation up against yours any day. You don't have no moral authority to pronounce on my character. Desmond Hoy dealt with you best. And in the interest of decency, I will not even repeat what Desmond Hoyt had to tell Gail Teixeira to put her in her place. I really think that that this authorship had to be under the influence of something, because this don't make no sense. You would think that having heard all of the complaints that were set out at the forum, the government would want to sit and meet with the black leaders in the country and say, well, we're hearing all these complaints about racism. Come and talk with us. Let us develop an empowerment program to develop or redevelop or rehabilitate the villages of Guyana, the black villages, the black regions. No, they are not intending. Their intent is not to give black people 1 inch of anything in Guyana. And then they come up with this nice slogan, oh, one Guyana. One Guyana, my big... One Guyana is just a PR slogan. It has no meaning. It is a strategy to distract people from the complaints of racism. If you want to promote one Guyana, make sure half of the billions of dollars in government contracts go to black people. Make sure black people own oil blocks, and we have our companies are given contracts in the oil and gas sector. Ensure that the schools and hospitals and health centers and post offices in black communities are properly upheld, upkept, maintained, properly functioning. Put proper drainage and water and irrigation system in black communities. Give the people COVID relief and flood grants too, because natural disasters don't only hit in East Indian communities, they hit everybody. Why are you cutting the funding for Linden and Bartica, Region 7 and Region 10 and Region 4? Because black people live there. Their policy, the government's policy, is racist. It's apartheid. And then she talks about, oh, black people are 70% of the public service. Yes, how many of them make decisions? Policy decisions? None. They're all made by Indian people in the cabinet. Even the black ministers in the cabinet don't have no power. To make their own decisions. Barack making it for them. When is this government going to sit down with black leaders and talk about the development of Guyana? That's what we want. We want inclusion, not exclusion. When are you going to stop the nonsense about outlawing protests? Up to today, Kadeki Amsterdam was arrested because he was protesting with a bullhorn. What they're building in Guyana is a people that will hate them. What they're doing is inciting racial hostility. What they're doing is building a momentum for civil conflict in the country. Like I always say, black people, our ancestors built Guyana. And nobody's going to run us out of our country. Then she went on to talk about the government policies inclusive, excuse me? As soon as they came into power, they fired over 3,000 black people. They're trying to take away the Sevon's land and business and property, car care. A black woman that owns a massive charity from Atlanta leased a property from the in Peters Hall during the Granger administration. Them come and take it away. Didn't even have the courtesy to write the woman. Just take the land and give it to a group of businessmen East Indians and one, I think, Asian or Chinese or something. They're supporters. And then backdate a letter and wrote it to her saying, we taking back the land because we are paid. And they're wrong on that because the woman paid. Millions of dollars she paid. And you know what? They also past black people up to now, they don't even have the professional courtesy to understand the legal obligation to call in that company and discuss the either seizure, replacement of our land, or get you back your money. No, they're so arrogant. Oh, you black, you don't need back your money, we taking it. We the government. COVID relief went to mostly East Indian people. Flood relief went to mostly East Indian people. To the point where the East Indian people had to share the money with black people in the villages. Gaisuko workers, $250,000. The ones that were laid off. Equitable governance, inclusive governance, excuse me. Then they tried to take away Kojo McPherson's family's land in Barbados. The Attorney General told his Indian supporters, go and break down the fence from the land and take it. Disrespectful to black people. Then we have migrants or overseas-based Guyanese that bought properties in the estate. They came into power. They moved to the court to take away their people's land. They are determined that black people must not own anything of value in Guyana. Am I wrong? Ask the people. How many black people you see getting contracts? 99.9% of hundreds of billions of dollars in contracts go to only East Indians. So far, I know of one black person that got a major contract or one black company hits and jams. And there's nothing wrong with that. We are saying we need 51%. It's we country too. The police force, they think the police force is their personal security squad. The police force is, they're using the police force like their own death squad. Like their phantom death squad, to go after everybody to criticize them. I live in America, and the police force, they're busy working to frame me. Up to tonight, I got a message from a law enforcement officer in Guyana that is shocking, revealing a plan. You guys will hear about it. So contracts are only given to East Indians, flood relief East Indians, COVID relief East Indians, and they're land grabbing, taking away black people land. Apartheid. That's apartheid governance. When you speak out, you get arrested. Anybody in Guyana who's not afraid to speak out if you're black, send a message now. Everybody is scared. They've come to government back with this intimidation across the nation. You can't speak out. Don't speak out. You're not of the class. This is East Indian triumphalism. Just imagine, we are in the diaspora in America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. And we're speaking out. And these racists want to reach into America to trample on our freedom of speech. Oh, you guys are criminals, shut up. And look who they sent to tell us, an all washed up relic of the PPP racist past, Gail Teixeira. A relic. And all she could do is peddle lies. She's so irrelevant to the government of Guyana. She's wasting taxpayers' dollars sitting there because all she's doing is peddling lies. And mind you, the government is not even ashamed to proudly associate themselves with a business whose owner or one of whose owners admitted that they evade taxes and they committed tax fraud, committed extortion, on tape admitting to tax evasion. And she's proudly associated with the government, quoting quoting a criminal, corrupt criminal conspiracy. She quoted it as a fact, putting it on a government letterhead, an official document that she released. That is the single most disgraceful and embarrassing thing of our press release. The association of our government with a criminal. Well, half of them in the cabinet are criminals. So at this point in time, as a relic, a dinosaur, with not too particular sophisticated intelligence, all she now has been relegated to doing is circulating misinformation and hogwash. And she talks about since they came to power, what they've done or whatever it is. There's not one iota of humanity in their policies. They manage the resources of the country for themselves. All they're there to do is thief the people, thief oil money, build big houses, buy fancy cars, open bank accounts all over the country. And like I said, Professor Clive Thomas did a study when they left office. And he said between theft and siphoning off from the economy is over 10 billion US dollar thief, sorry, 5 billion US dollars a thief. Then she cursed out the PNC. She said CGID is representing the PNC. Listen, Gail, the complaints you got about the PNC and the coalition, take it to them. If you're not sure where the office is, it's at Congress Place. You can leave Freedom House, go up Rob Street, catch Vicentia Road, and go down to the back of Congress Place and meet Mr. North and deliver it there. We in CGID are in America. We don't care about your grievances. Take it, sir. Go, sir, to the Congress Place and deliver it, or carry it to the Parliament. Don't bring it to us. We're not interested in your grievances. We are not in arbitration. And she has the nerve to talk about elections when they conducted a voter impersonation fraud scheme. And those fraudulent ballots led them to power because they corruptly got the courts to change the election laws and corruptly got the international community to back them because they could pay lobbyists. I am saying, in my view, the elections were not fair, free and fair. I don't care what nobody from the international community says. Because, Gail Teixeira, is y'all bringing all the people from the international community and y'all boast, oh, the US congressman, the white man, he said so. And the Carter Center, they said so. And even the Prime Minister of Barbados, and the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, and all these other people. And because they say so, it's gospel. Now, all of a sudden, the same people from the international community, same members of Congress from the United States, are speaking out about their racism, and they want to tell the Guyanese people, oh, no, don't listen to these people. They don't have any credibility. They're black, and they're listening to Rickford Burke, as if these people don't have no intelligence, no sense, no staff, no ability to research. She was so disrespectful to the Attorney General. She says that the Attorney General was misled by Rickford Burke and the other elected officials. The Attorney General is in charge of thousands of staff. She has thousands of staff members. We have to supply her with all of the facts. She didn't come up there and talk out of the, politicians in New York aren't like Guyanese politicians in the PPP. They do their research, they have their staff collect information, they do their research, they form conclusions on their own. They have a brain, Gail Teixeira. They have a brain. They have a brain. It's inside of their head. Just in case you're a little inebriated or something, brains are in your head. Black politicians in America got them. We ain't too sure we all over there. And then she said, The forum was a one-man show, Rickford Burke. See why I said she was under the influence of something? Because she saw over 2,000 people standing up in their place. But their problem is, normally they like to attack something. Oh, only 200 people and 20 people went and 13 people went. They can't say that this time. So their strategy is to say, it's a one-man show. Well, if me alone produce that, I'm a genius. And thank Gail Teixeira for highlighting to the people of Guyana that I'm a genius that can do that. And by the way, CGID has hundreds of members and 18 board members. But she thinks it's going to diminish the forum by saying it's a one-man show. This has been their strategy forever. Like I said, she's a relic of the past. She's irrelevant. She's a dinosaur. She should retire and go home and stick a cigarette in her mouth and sit by the beach and relax. She's irrelevant. But let me say this, people. CGID obviously is giving them sleepless nights. Rickford Burke is obviously giving them sleepless nights. They're scared the hell of me. They're scared of me. So they think they have to make me into a boogeyman. Rickford Burke is a criminal, he's a rapist, he's a this, he's a that. Nobody believes that crap. Come up with another strategy. All the elected officials that we send this thing to, they laughed at them. It's embarrassing to the country that we have such a buffoon writing such crap, attacking black people in America. Buffoon, embarrassing the country. And walks around calling herself a minister of government. And she doesn't even have the ability to think. They are so obsessed with black people speaking out to the diaspora. They can't kill us. They can't do the things that they could do in Guyana and they did in the previous government. So now they want to assassinate our character. And in so doing, they're willing to break US law, commit transnational crimes for which they're now going to be investigated and hauled before the courts when they come to this country. That's what we want to see. They're committing transnational repression crimes, harassing people, giving out people's phone numbers. They have their people attacking people's families, committing crimes. They're committing crimes. This letter that Gail Teixeira wrote itself is an act of transgressional repression. She's harassing people because they're speaking out and trying to assassinate their character. CGID is determined to change the relationship between the PPP and the United States government. We will do it. So help me God, we will do it. We will traverse the halls of Congress and the White House and every house in America in government to expose racism and corruption in Guyana. Just as they're relentlessly pursuing me, we would relentlessly expose them. They're going to have to abandon their agenda of disrespecting black people, subjugating black people. They're going to release the noose, that noose of segregation and slavery that they want to tie black people's necks with to hang us. They're going to release it. We're going to haunt them till they release it. Mark my word as gospel truth. We will pursue the PPP government to the end of the world until we have democracy and respect for black people in Guyana. There's no ethnic supremacy. We are all one. We want equality and justice and equitable governance. Guyana belongs to every single one of us. And we have a right to speak. And an alien have a right to speak. The same right that the PPP has. And if they have a right to speak, and they have a right to be racist, we have a right to resist their racism. And that's what CGID. We will intensify our resistance of the racism and corruption. The world is now watching. And the Exxons of the world and all of the American companies investing in Guyana, they have an obligation to stamp out corruption and racism in Guyana. Speak out against it. It's a moral imperative that Exxon not sit there and feed into and watch and observe and be complicit with PPP racism. Investors in Guyana have a right to object to their racism. Because when the PPP continues with its racist practices and policies, they're endangering the investment of Exxon. Why? They're inciting racial hostility and they're engendering civil conflict. And that poses a significant risk to investment. Civil conflict, that's what they're harboring. That's what have to me. And let me say this before I close. I disclosed it on Politics 101 this afternoon. There apparently is some conflict in the PPP. There must be. There must be some, they're schizophrenic. Because the PPP government has been reaching out to me. Up to 2 months ago when the president came for the United Nations General Assembly, the government reached out to me and asked me if I would sit with the president. And I said I would not sit with the president alone. I will discuss it with community leaders. I will discuss it with my board. And we will come back to you. We wrote them officially and said, the board decided that 6 members of the board will represent CGID, and we will meet with him. It so happened that he had to leave because the day when he wanted to meet with us, we were not available. Other government officials have reached out to me and met with me right here in New York. So why are you meeting with a criminal? If I am genuinely wanted, why are you calling me to meet with me? Why government officials are meeting with me? If I am this non-entity, a one-man show, why are you meeting with me? Why is the president of Guyana meeting with me? That's because they recognize that I'm a leader and I can lead and I represent my people and I am an advocate for the rights of the people. So Gail Teixeira, get that in your head or put it in your pipe and smoke it. I've said enough. I've said enough. Let me say this. I'm not scared of anybody in the PPP. If you come after me, we're going to have a combat. We will have a combat. I can go with them toe to toe, anybody in the PPP. We could have a debate. We could, whatever. You want to write? I can write. Stop trying to criminalize Black people. Stop crime. That can't work in a country where almost half the people are Black. That KKK tactic can't work with us. That worked in a country where the Black population was like 9% back then. Your Jim Crow tactics that you want to apply to diminish and disparage Black people can't work now. Black people build Guyana. Black people build Guyana, and we have a right to stand up and speak and advocate for the rights of our people, for equity, for justice, and for equal government, equitable governance. No East Indian, PPP East Indian supremacy is going to happen in Guyana. We will tear down every shred of racism from the PPP. And every time they attempt to impose that in Guyana, we will uproot it. Take that to the bank. Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you again on Thursday for another edition of Conversation with Rickford Burke. Thank all of you for listening, and thank you for your support. Thank all the Guyanese who came out on Sunday, the thousands of you. Thank everybody, the persons who prepared refreshment. Thanks to the owners of the event hall that we rented. Thanks to all our elected officials. We will do it again soon. Good night, everybody.